Taris? The planet's all one big city, but its golden years are long past. And things have gotten worse since the Sith occupied it. From what I hear, the wealthy live on the tops of all the tall towers, and if you're poor, you live down in the shadows. And it gets worse the lower you go.
Taris is a pretty good place to grow up, all things considered. Just stick to the area you belong in and stay out of Davik's business, and you'll be fine. The upper city's got some nice shops and all, but it's boring. The only time I go up there is if I need free healing from Zelka at his medical facility. What can I say? The lower city was a great place to hang out until the Volkers started that gang war. Now you can't even walk the streets without getting shot at. It can be pretty nasty down there. You've got rat ghouls crawling around looking for their next meal, and the Gamorrean slavers like to set up their bases in the sewers. And then there's the Outcast Village, a collection of people banished to the Undercity for their crimes. I mostly avoid the village, though. It's pretty depressing to see how they live. I tend to keep my nose out of an intergalactic crime lord's business, you know? I can't tell you much that isn't common knowledge. Extortion, slavery, smuggling. Davik's got a piece of all the action here on Taris. Even the swoop gangs know better than to get in his way.
The surface of Taris is covered with an urban skyscrape. Its glittering spires belie the decay that lies in its lower reaches, however.
Yeah, I know Taris. I wasted the last 2 years in this rat hole working for Davik. I suppose an accurate way to describe this place would be cesspool or dump. You got the rich on top, the poor being crushed underneath, and people like me trying to make a living doing the crushing. It's not exactly what you'd call spiritually fulfilling work, but it gets the bills paid. And on Taris, money can go a long way to making things easier.
I was remembering Taris. It was a horrible place to have to live. At least in the lower cities where the non-humans tended to get relegated. Living for years in a place with no sun, living off the trash dropped from the upper levels, and the meager pay doing back-breaking labor. There was always the danger of rat ghouls coming up from the sewers, or more mundane predators living and working in the area. My family and I struggled each and every day to make something of our lives. But we could only go so far. Taxes from the corrupt government, more fees from the gangs controlling the streets, and whatever was left paying for what food and medical supplies we could afford. With no money to spare for any amenities, even the enclave on Dantooine seems a paradise in comparison. And of course, there was the constant bigotry and hate from the more affluent and human citizens, lording their wealth over us living below. Every once in a while, a rich human would come down through the lower levels with his droid entourage just to see how the wildlife lived and laughed at the mockeries that were our successes.
No more than you. Get going.